We're going to be presenting Flo.Val. We'll come to what the solution is in a second. Here's our team, and Arnav, me, and HP. And we're going to start with the analysis because that's the most crucial part for this product. When we were looking at company X, the same company that everyone else got, we saw that we were given a request for payment approval system, and there were 4 steps in the process. Unfortunately, while the process is supposed to look like this, it looked like that in reality, which is not the most ideal situation, where approvals were taking up to 364 days and 10 days on average, and most of the time was spent on admin work. It led to frequent rejections and long duration cases where these payments were stuck for the longest time because of role mapping errors, workflow inconsistencies, and lack of proper routing or reviewer assignment. So we wanted to fix for admin costs and cash flow because we wanted to tie the problem back to cash flow.
So again, when we look at these problems, similarly to company X, and we look at the mid-sized companies, almost an average, they lose almost 1.3 million every year. And why is that? Sometimes it's 73% of missed discounts. Sometimes that means 3 times additional associated costs. And in addition to that, actually having 15% of late fees also incurred in their yearly budgets. So why is this happening? Beyond the clunky cash flow situation that we see for these poor companies, we also see that they're still using email and Excel. So that ERP automation that typically happens for companies that we think of is not happening for these mid-sized companies. So we want to be a part of merging that digital divide and offering that AI transformation. So let's look at the market at large. Globally, the target addressable market, as you kind of heard it before, but more so associated to accounts payable, is at $3 billion. Beyond that, in the North American and European and Latin markets combined, we measured that to $2.1 billion. Now, for the market that we're obtaining, we saw that for $105 million. Thank you so much. And so that, as we've spoken before, we heard 1 to 5% for our accounts payable. For us, we measured more at the 5%. So I want to make sure that we call that out. Next.
So the solution, let us introduce Flo.Val. Flo.Val is an AI-powered approval engine that's built for speed and cache awareness. It learns your policies, automates 95% of your payment approvals, allocates spend based on real-time cash availability, and it integrates natively with ERP systems like NetSuite. The main thing I would like to point out is our system, unlike travel reimbursement, like our colleagues did, it's a general system. It covers every aspect of the company where the money needs to flow, and not just procurement or AP. So this is a small screenshot of how the app looks. There's a really cool approval flow map which shows you where the incoming funds are coming in from. So it could be department level or the entire company as a whole. And it goes into the AI processing system, which eliminates 95% of your approvals. It only kicks back medium to high level requests. And on top of that, as the system learns more and more, it tries to relegate it to the easier requests. So it'll automate that process as well. Apart from that, you can see the approval queue where the managers can look at it. And the biggest thing that we wanted to do was make sure that we didn't require dev teams to set this up. So for 95% of your approval cases, you can go with an if-then statement. They'll help you set it up department-wise. That way you don't have dev costs involved. The other biggest thing is we believe that because bottlenecks happen because there's no visibility, we wanted to make sure that it was visible for everyone who the bottleneck is for. So for example, you can see the current approver, the department, and the live dashboard and how much money it's saving you. So this is an example of the dashboard. And the dashboard again shows you, for example, Sarah has not approved her stuff in like 4 hours. She has 12 pending requests, and the visibility should help speed up the problem.
So this is our product molecule, and it shows how the whole solution is built. At the center is the core decision brain, where payment approvals are made using policy, risk scores, and live cash data. The middle layer powers it with policy rules, risk scoring, and ERP or cache integrations. And on the outside is what the user feels every day: faster approvals, full visibility, and complete control. Now I'll take you through the design thinking methodology. We spent time studying how people work today. We saw the frustration, long delays, constantly chasing approvals, duplicate work, and stress of meeting audit deadlines. What they want is simple: faster decisions and a clear view of where things stand. To make this real, let's meet one of our example users. This is Eric, a operations manager. Every day he checks long approval queues and follows up with people across emails and chats. Month end is especially stressful. He feels there are too many manual steps and he believes the process needs to be much faster but without losing accuracy. Now let's walk through his journey. Eric's process starts with logging into the ERP, scanning approvals and checking flagged items, before gathering supporting documents and cross-checking vendor data. He then follows up with approvers, makes the decision based on risk and cash availability, and finally monitors the payment status while updating audit logs. With that understanding, we could clearly define the problem. The real problem is that approvals are slow and sometimes risky because the data is scattered and no one has full ownership of the process. Our goal is to bring everything into one place, guide each step, and keep a clean record for audits. That focus led us into the ideation stage. We explored ideas like automatic scoring, instant anomaly detection, and real-time dashboards. In the end, we chose a smart assistant that not only flags issues but explains why, suggests the next action, and logs everything for a complete audit trail.
Now, what would Flo.Val be without considering our stakeholders like Eric, right? So let's look at that. Engaging our stakeholders is critical to building trust. So when we look at our pyramid, we have our customer support at the bottom as the foundation. Then we have the trust channels that we continue to build, and then following that, understanding each of their concerns and being able to adapt to all of them. So when we look at that, we measure where the power exists and also the associated interests. So at the top of that, you see the financial departments along with some of the procurement admin as well. So again, think about that mid-sized company and all of the different accounts payable and procurement opportunities that exist. And as I mentioned, of course, this is the map of our communications. Continue. And beyond that, we also need to talk about our ethical considerations. When we're looking at AI, we think about the responsibility that each of us are owed to do, especially when it comes to building these kind of platforms. Not only as it pertains to the environmental factors, but also the discriminatory AI algorithms that continue to persist. In addition to that, of course, there is a concern of the regulators with the privacy, right? What does that look like? For us, we continue to establish the different either GDPR or American clauses that we need in order to establish the type of privacy that each mid-sized company would appreciate.
So I'm going to talk about the financial model, the market landscape, and the go-to-market. All the extra data is at the back, so I will go over it if we have time. So with most approval tools, they're either rigid or automation layers or overly complex general purpose platforms focused on invoicing and AP. We are a cache-aware approval intelligence engine. While others automate invoice processing, Flo.Val automates approval intelligence, the real bottleneck in finance workflows. Now, how we differentiate ourselves with our competitors, this is the landscape, and we're right here in the corner, of course, is because we have real-time cache sync. We are a policy-based AI decision engine. We focus on fast internal approvals, and we are ERP native with Oracle's NetSuite, and we are approval-centric versus invoice processing-centric. And just for market validation, Coupa, one of our competitors, was valued at $8 billion, while Tripalti raised at $8.3 billion as valuation. But none of them serve the mid-market as of now. So our strategy is going to be a beachhead market strategy where we focus only on the mid-market, which is $50 million to $500 million in accounts payable and receivable, with NetSuite as our primary consumer. So the consumers that use NetSuite as their ERP. We'll be on their marketplace. After that, in our phase 2, we will focus on scaling operations, adding high growth tech companies and retailers, and partnerships with accounting firms, getting implementation partners, and procurement consultants as well. And phase 3, we will target SAP and Oracle integrations, which will be our large enterprise clients. So we divided our customer segment into 3 parts, like I just mentioned. High growth companies are going to be your startups, which have smaller APARs. Mid-market is going to be established businesses and regional players, and we want to target them first. And enterprise is our last frontier. In terms of pricing, we kept a flat pricing system of $4,000 per month, starting for the high growth and going up to mid-market at $6K and enterprise at $10,000 based on their AP and AR volumes, because the requests are based on that. Where the real money comes in for us is going to be our add-ons. Supplier risk intelligence feed, which pulls in data for vendors, whether they're high risk or low risk, because that's important for our AI. Advanced cash forecasting would be the next module when we try to expand the scope of the company, and industry-specific compliance packages. For example, healthcare needs HIPAA, or finance needs the FINRA integration. Our roadmap looks like this, where we want to start by Q2 of 2026. We should have our MVP, 3 pilot customers, and NetSuite integration done. By Q1 of 2027, we should have our add-ons ready, and by the end of this year, by end of 2026, we should have our launch to mid-market ready. And by the end of 2027, we're looking at enterprise. So for revenues, the most interesting part, we're looking at $15 million by year 4, and we're going to start with less than $0.7 million in revenue for the first year. We're targeting a 4.3x revenue growth, customer growth at 12.5 times, and 66% in our average ARPUs over time. This is our financial projection. By year 2, we hope to break even, a 42% EBITDA margin by year 4, and an 80% gross margin in line with SaaS companies. A few highlights. We do not need a lot of money to start building, but that's not our funding request, just FYI. We will be cash flow positive in less than 18 months, and our cumulative cash generated by year 4 should be around $8.6 million. Just because we're an AI company doesn't mean our cost should balloon. In fact, our cost should be less for development because we're in a new era of development. So that's why we've kept it as low and putting our money where our mouth is, or mouth where our money is. So key metrics that we're looking at, of course, ARR is important, but we're looking at our ARPU per customer and the customer count. We hope to have 150 customers by year 4, gross margin increasing year on year, going up to 80%, CAC reducing by to 19,000 per year, and then the LTV CAC ratio by year 4 should be 54, which is quite impressive. And the churn that we're looking at is 0.8% by year 4, but we estimate it to be around 2%. Our growth drivers are going to be our AI policy engine, mid-market focus, our early channel partners, and our native integration and add-on modules. This is our tech stack. We're building this on SageMaker. AWS is going to be hosting it. And we're going to partner with Dow Jones for the supplier intelligence to pull in vendor data. It should be SOC 2 compliant. And in our later stages for implementation, we hope to partner with TCS, Cognizant, and NetSuite implementation partners as our sales channel partners. Thank you. We can go more in depth into detailed financials, but if we have time, I'd like to go over the prototype. Tamara, you good on time? So this is Flo.Val. That's the dashboard. You would set your logic first with the if-then statements, and over time, the AI platform would learn what you're approving and what you're rejecting, and based on that, it should start automating your approvals. Let's go into the dashboard real quick. Let's click Start Now. This is a floating window. Let's move that here. See, it's all according to liquid glass, so you can, see what's going on. And the biggest thing that this platform does is it gives you a live view into how your payment is being processed and how you want the vendors to get paid. So if, for example, you could like move this around and then link it to this payment or that payment, and sort of like, have clear view on things. On the right side, you can see the performance analytics with the bottlenecks, the timing, how fast they're getting approved, who is the bottleneck, and at the bottom you have your approval queue. Sorry, it wasn't rendering right, and doing a live demo is interesting. But yeah, so that's our platform. Thank you. I think we did good on time.
Sarah, would you like to go first?
Great. Good. So right from the beginning, something interesting that you included was, so first you identified specific problems from within the process, but then you said something about your app could be able to follow the money across different processes, which I don't know if you intentionally included that, but that is a newer capability of the slowness software. It's called object-centric process mining. So it's in addition to the slowness platform that is currently being rolled out by a couple of our customer partners. So good job, including that type of capability here. I thought you had a good payment flow journey on that slide. I also liked that you had this governance matrix. So a good use of who would the user be and what would the variable, I guess I'll just call them variables, be in this type of matrix. A couple more notes. I thought you had another matrix, so this customer matrix. So the ERP system adjusted for the size of the company. I thought that was also very realistic when you start to get into the breakdown of your pricing model. And then a good use of your churn rate here at the end. So I liked this. I thought this was very realistic of not just how can you grow, but who would potentially kind of fall off just by the nature of that's just how business works. Your churn rate and an average sales cycle, I think those are both realistic to include here. My only note would be the partnerships work that you were saying, so how to implement this. Yes, this can largely be done by consulting firms. I thought that was pretty good, but something else to consider is just the revenue growth of these types of consultants implementing your type of a model, of just how could this potentially fluctuate if there was some type of change with the consultancy that you use, if you need to add more consultants, and how could that be reflected back into your own business model, how to train them up, and so on and so forth. But otherwise, very good.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, and we went based on our margin of 80%, so that's why we back calculated, so our prices would go accordingly. The other thing that the pricing module did not address was the implementation fee, which would also be charged to the customers.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, great presentation. I love the product especially. I thought it was very cool. And I liked also just your presentation altogether. The delivery, the presence, very natural, right? So kudos for that. In terms of questions, I actually don't think I have any. I loved it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, to add, very, very well presented, very thorough. You guys covered a lot of bases. And you guys had a strong SWOT, believe it or not. A lot of competitive logos were displayed where, yeah, you mentioned threats, you mentioned openings and opportunities. The pricing model was a little bit, it was a little, yeah, maybe a little bit more realistic. In fact, I had a point, overall this was great.
So our logic was that we would display the savings that our customers would have from our pricing. We didn't get enough time to go over this, but
Yeah.
people do miss out a lot on missed discounts because of for early payments, and in terms of like late fees. So what we did was we sort of calculated that for a $60 million AP company, and we believe that they're losing up to $1 million. So the price seems kind of feasible in that way, and then plus it fixes your entire company's flow.
Yeah, I just felt like I said, this was a great presentation. Maybe this was maybe a little bit of a small weakest link, but overall this was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess from my side as well, like I loved the presentation, it was interactive, it was focused, like you knew your target market, what you're trying to deliver even in terms of industry. I also had the same comment in terms of pricing. I felt it's at the
Higher end.
Higher end.
I wanted to add as well, because we're not only doing accounts payable, it's the ERPs, you know, it's, there's so many cross-functional opportunities within a company, especially at a mid-size, so I think that's why it seems a little higher.
Probably. I
Sorry.
mean, yeah, but nowadays, like companies, how I
Yes.
see it, they're looking for cutting costs
Yes,
as much
yes.
as they can. So I don't know if like you're able to do something at this budget with this.
So we were between a couple of models. One was paying per seat, and the other one was based on how many requests go on, but we felt that adoption would drop based on those metrics. That was our feedback for it.
Sounds good. And when it comes to the financial projections and the investment, I felt it's the most realistic and relevant as well. So I mean, good job.
Thank you.